Welcome to Hot Laps, brought to you by Heatshield Products. Race testing.
All right, welcome back to Hot Laps, lap 24. All of us are here today. Steve, Shane, myself, and Patrick is Skyping in from Florida. So we're excited for that. How's it going, Patrick? How's everything?
It's hot. It's really, really hot. We were on the thermometer. It was mid to high 90s yesterday. With the index actually went over 110.
Oh, jeez.
Jeez.
Well, you're sound about like us. We're 95 and 90% humidity, or what the hell it is now.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough.
That sucks.
Oh, you guys have had humidity too. Wow.
Yeah. But here's the bonus. Here's the thing you're missing out on. You don't get to pay the taxes that we get to pay.
Yeah.
For this glorious weather. See, I could be in Florida having the same weather as you and saving a boatload of money in taxes.
And on your car insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Just bring some Jack in the Box tacos with you when you come.
Oh, I know, dude.
we could do a whole podcast on Jack in the Box tacos.
We should.
Yeah.
Well, one of the company founders one of his first jobs was working at Jack in the Box.
That's true. Over there in San Carlos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So we haven't kicked off the podcast with a question in a while. We just kind of jumped in.
By the way, this is Chris.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. We didn't introduce ourselves. I'm Chris, sales manager at Heatshield Products.
I'm
And
Shane.
What do you do, Shane?
I'm the product engineer.
Yeah. And I'm Steve.
What's your title today?
I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm feeling today.
Head Foshnot player.
How about head peon? That's how I feel today. It's been kicked in the nuts the last couple of weeks. It's been a bad run.
And then Patrick.
Heavy lies the crown.
Patrick, what's your title today?
Hurricane survivor.
Jedi Knight and friend of Captain Solo.
Oh wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
You knew it was
I like
coming.
it.
All
I like
right.
it.
So yeah, we haven't kicked off this podcast with a question in a while, and it's been a while since all of us have been here. So let's do it. This one came to mind because whether you know or don't know, I'm working on this Comet, which I thought was going to be pretty easy, but Steve continues to remind me this is what happens when you have an old car. So I've learned quite a bit, and learning that the right person and the right tool makes all the difference. Yeah. So my question is, we all work on our cars. I know you do, Patrick, Shane, I know you do, Steve, you do, and I do. But at what point do you seek the advice of a professional? At what point? Shane can start on that one, because
Major engine disassembly.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Everything else.
I mean, I know
and
you...
alignments. Everything else I do myself.
Yeah, because I know you
Brakes,
you probably
water
dig
pumps,
deeper than any of us. Well, maybe
fluid
not more than
changes.
Patrick.
Yeah, probably not more than Patrick.
spark plugs. No, I don't think so. Not as much as Patrick.
But you do all of that without seeking the advice. I think it also is the year of the car. Like I don't even think I'd want to go deep into my...
I would say I think it depends on the project. Are we just making a repair to a new car? Are we just doing a brake job or something like that?
Yeah, I've got
kind of straightforward.
Yeah, I've got newer
Yeah.
cars,
Yeah.
so it's all easy.
So
easy stuff.
like the Mustang,
Yeah.
stage one. What I consult a professional right away because didn't consult one with another project, and I'm still paying for that thing. So you have to. It depends on where you're at in your build.
Yeah.
What you're gonna do, I think, and then you consult. Like Mustang, right away. Comet, you're not really in the same boat because your car's complete. It's not a total ground up restoration. So you're consulting about other things,
repair and replace,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
For me, like things out of my capability.
Yeah.
Welding, fabricating. I've always been enamored with people who could fabricate.
Sure.
Yeah, same here. Welding, body
skill that just is totally beyond. I just don't have the time or the patience maybe to sit down and do it, or both.
It's almost more of an art form.
It is. Yeah. It totally is an art form. I completely agree with that.
Especially a guy who knows how to TIG weld.
Yeah.
Dude, I know, man. Yeah.
Few and far between for sure.
Yeah, so I think it just depends on what you're doing. Most mechanical stuff I can do. That's why I'm trying to find a 61 to 63 rust-free, which they don't exist.
You'll find it.
Lincoln Continental convertible that needs mechanical stuff. I could do that.
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, so far it's been pretty easy, but
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff on the Comet, it was just stuff I don't know about, like timing and that kind of stuff. I mean, changing the plugs was pretty easy. Although I do have to admit, I didn't check them all,
Exhaust,
and that was my problem.
You had the best exhaust
Oh,
man
yeah.
in the world. I'd say in the country, in the
Yeah.
world, doing the exhaust on that.
Well, the thing is and we talk about this all the time when Kevin Brown or Ed Hansen or somebody that comes here. The reality is like they see the world under the car in a totally different way because I'm going underneath there. I'm like, oh yeah, there's no rust, and it looks this and that. And he's like, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong, and then
because they have no emotional attachment to it. So Patrick, for you, because you help a lot of other people do things, do you notice things that they don't when you're looking at a car?
Yeah, I have moments too where I try to like someone say, hey, what do you think of this? And I have that moment where I get ready to just pounce, and I go, wait a minute.
Right.
Don't rain on this person's parade here, and just kind of think a little bit before I start going off, and also worry about overwhelming them to where they go, oh man, I don't want to touch this.
Right. Time to sell it.
You know, I try to get, I want to be honest, but I will if I look at something and the alarm goes off like, don't let them buy this, don't let them get into this, then I will go 100 proof on them and like say no, don't do it.
Yeah, but post-purchase, you have to be a little more strategic in your delivery. I mean, right? So, I mean, like Saturday or Sunday, perfect example. Chris gets his car done. We could take it, pick it up, drive it around, and then
runs like a top.
It runs great. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the problems are fixed. I mean, carburetor, California, because of this stupid we're one of the bad states for all the ethanol. There's other states that have it too, but it's really bad out here. So that fixed a lot of the problems with that car, was getting the carb redone. But he gets it home, and then he's got a real steep driveway, and the radiator explodes. And that's just because car's that old. You don't know what somebody has done to it before. Somebody's rewired it before. That's another thing where I will consult an expert. I know basics about wiring. Shane is way more capable on wiring than I am. But I would rather save up the money, pay somebody to do it rather than me do it 2 or 3 times and do it wrong. Just let somebody who knows what they're doing do it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I honestly think what happened with the Comet was I did drive it home from your house, and I think one of the motor mounts is shot, and I think the fan hit the radiator. I mean, it is what it is. Like the coolant that came out of it looked like caramel, so I'm assuming that
and that was
needed to be changed.
It had an aluminum radiator, so that means it was pretty nasty.
Gonzo. So, but
because that would have had a copper brass from the factory.
Yeah, for sure.
But aluminum is better at cooling.
So yeah, I did get a new one of those, and I'll probably install that tonight or Friday night. But the other thing that really comes to mind, the guy that worked on the carburetor was probably in his late 70s. Ed is in his early 70s. And then
Ed acts like he's in his early 30s.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's just amazing. And then the guy that came and rewired the ignition that was all screwed up, the person that had it before me, wired it, and then did Steve not hit play?
Is your thing on?
I don't know. It's got a red light blinking.
Oh, then
you're good. Then you're good.
Sweet. And then the guy that rewired the ignition was in his, late 60s. The question, I mean, what happens? People don't live forever.
Oh, yeah, when these guys are gone.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, I think his name was Rick Walters.
Stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Rick down there by Gillespie Field in San Diego. I mean, he has a room full of carburetors, and people were standing in line to have him do it. And at the end of the day, I mean, people don't live forever, so nobody's really pulling on this trade. But I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting because people still like old cars, but when you got to start messing, I guess then everybody goes to a sniper kit from Holley. I don't know.
Yeah, well that's what you should do.
It's interesting though that because I've heard this in 2 different parts of the industry. So everybody goes, well, who's still using a carburetor and who's still buying a carburetor and whatnot? Holley and Edelbrock still sell a ton of carburetors.
Yeah, somebody's buying them.
Hot sellers and everything else. So I mean, it's more prevalent. Like in the cam and valve train industry, I ran into this a couple times. So where like something, I had an editor tell me once. He goes, Well, who's still using a flat tappet camshaft? And I told him, I said, flat tappet camshafts are still the #1 seller for the cam and valve train companies, the big ones. And there's a lot of that stuff that's still out there, and for various reasons that it's still popular. But yeah, it's those people. There's not as many to pass that knowledge on to like there was 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
And it's a little scary.
Yeah, it is.
Especially in Chris's case with that Autolite 1-barrel carburetor, which needs a rocket scientist to try and even get close to being acceptable.
Well, sadly, I found out that is not an original carburetor. And, I mean, again, it's like one of those things. If I had gone in there to try to, like, tune it or something, this guy said you didn't have a chance in hell because whoever rebuilt it the last time put a screw in sideways. And it was just dumping gas into the intake. So it's like, again, it's just these people are not going to live forever. And, man, I don't know, what do you do afterwards? But I guess, it is what it
somebody will pick it up is what it'll be is you won't be able to find a guy in your town.
Yeah.
But there'll be like one guy in like 5 or 6 states. You send your stuff to him, and then.
Yeah.
But the problem with that, or the carburetor, is you really need somebody not only to rebuild it, but like probably one thing we need to do once you get your carburetor all done. Who's our local savior? Have him come down when the car's running,
and get it all,
and he'll adjust it. It's just weird to watch him like tweak the screws and stuff, and then the thing will be. It runs great right now. Yeah. He'll get it to run even better. So,
Yeah, I think the idle's a bit high.
Yeah.
But
that's the nice thing about fuel injection.
One of the biggest things with tuning a carburetor is a vacuum gauge. Vacuum.
Yeah.
Vacuum will tell you a lot of what's going on with a carburetor. And that's why, like, going back, talking to old Holley engineers, Holley always used to have a huge advantage over Edelbrock and other companies because of all the work that they did with aircraft carburetors. So the flow benches at Holley, they had flow benches that could simulate being at like 30,000 foot plus altitude. So and flow an enormous amount of air. So in turn, later on, when the performance industry really started kicking up and the performance carburetor industry, just took off, they were able to use the leftovers from the war and the aircraft industry for development of carburetors.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
That's why they were always better. They used to always be the best racing carburetors around. And then it was Carter before, and then Edelbrock bought them. Isn't that who it was? And then you had like those other. I don't want to see small companies. Some of them are pretty big, and they're still out there today. I just can't think of any, like Barry Grant or whatever, one of those, or some of those guys.
Barry Grant's owned by Holley now.
Yeah, they bought that one.
Barry fled the country.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's going to be a bummer when that stuff's gone.
With Chris's car, it's all basic mechanical stuff, though, Chris, that you're able to work on and fix. And YouTube is a great resource for stuff now. Yeah, you've got some BS there, but also YouTube is great because when you find something good and you can watch someone doing it, and if you're a visual learner like I am, seeing someone do it is huge.
Yeah, and if you can get 2 or 3 videos and the guys are all kind of saying the same thing,
yeah,
then you know that's the right process. If you get one guy that's way out in left field and you get 2 or 3 that are kind of counteracting one, okay, that guy's probably a coconut.
Well, I was going to take the bottom crank pulley off to try to get more room for the fan.
Which you should still do.
And what's really interesting is all of the videos for the people that make the makeshift installer. Because you can't just put the bolt back into the crank pulley because you will just destroy the threads. So these guys make all these homemade things. And then I started to look like if I want to buy one, there's $70. If you want to rent one, there's $60. It's just kind of amazing. And then you get all these folks that just put together the crankshaft installer or the crankshaft pulley installer. It's like a whole world of stuff I didn't even fathom.
So the front pulley on that thing is basically the front pulley. The crank pulley is integrated into the balancer on the front of on the motor.
Yes.
Okay.
So and because it's not the original motor, it's from a '78 Fairmont. That had either smog or power steering or something else on it, so it has a dual pulley, and the fan has this extension on it, which gets it really close to the radiator, and because the motor mount was shot, that's what hit the radiator. So I'm boring everybody with my Comet problems, but that's what it is. But I have to admit, it is very easy to work on.
Oh, there's a ton of room in that thing.
Ton of room. It's all, basically right there in front of you. A few bolts here, a few bolts there, and then it's done. So I should have it up running hopefully this weekend. We'll see.
Cool.
So, you think I should change that double to a single still, even if it's gonna fit?
I mean, the only reason why, again, Bronco experience, just trying to afford as much room as you can in front there. I mean, with those low profile electric fans and everything that I had, and Kevin even moving the radiator forward, like having to modify the core support. I mean, I got like maybe 1/4 of an inch between the. Of course, they're electronic fans, so they're not going to surge or whatever with the motor. But and the motor really shouldn't be going forwards and backwards anyway.
Yeah.
The
left
motor
to right
is going to take care of a lot of that.
Yeah, left to right is okay, but a little bit, especially with the rubber bounce, because that's just torque. It's just going to do that, but it shouldn't be going forwards and backwards anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how much torque is on that thing.
Well, it's got a inline 6, so there's
probably
it's got more torque than power, than horsepower.
True that. Yeah. But so hopefully that should all get rectified, and then it'll be back on the road. But Patrick, you kind of just gave us a brief description of what you would say on someone else's car. Like, how deep do you get on? It looks like you do everything on your truck. Is there something that you won't do?
Set it on fire.
I thought you've already done that.
No,
okay.
Thankfully, no fire incidents. Thank God, with the truck over the years. There's a couple of things where just me digging into it.
Mm-hmm.
Between it's something that I need a second pair of hands to do, like my dash replacement.
Yeah.
Right? I've got a new used dash to go on my truck that's uncracked, great condition, and my dash is cracked all to hell. I'll have to post a picture of it to social media. We could have fun with that. And but it's just one of those. It's like I look at that and I go, okay, I could do this myself, but I'm just like, ugh.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm gonna get one of my friend Greg, who's a mechanic, and he's here in town, and we've worked on a lot of projects together. He's gonna give me a hand, and we're gonna both do it together too. Because I'm also kind of worried about pulling the dash out and creating more problems by touching that between because the wiring harness is 30 years old now. And other stuff, but it's a chance to get some things right. And really, that's the biggest eyesore on the interior. Besides, I need a new headliner. Is that the dash is just obliterated, it's a typical problem with the GMT 400s, especially the 88 to 94 trucks.
Yeah, but those things ran forever, dude.
I mean, it's still running. Still going.
Those things run forever.
Yeah. You guys want to do some tech questions?
Yeah. Might as well.
Okay. When I saw this one, I was like, man, this is an easy answer, and I think it's like self-explanatory, but it's even just a kind of little wacky. And then I thought to myself, well, if somebody maybe just doesn't understand how it should be installed or something. So it's a really quick question. Does the exhaust wrap stick to the pipe after it is installed? And I know we all know the answer, and Shane's smiling over there, but we may have some people listening or watching that
I think some
may
people,
not understand that.
Some people are confused because the industrial term for what car guys call, we'll call it a tape.
Sure. Even
though it's not an adhesive tape, that's kind of so some people call it an exhaust tape. So I think that confuses people.
Mm-hmm.
It will not stick to the pipe, but when you coil it over itself and secure the ends, then it does stay in place.
Yeah. So just for everybody listening, you never want to put adhesive onto a hot surface.
Yeah, the only ones that you can are really exotic, and they're a small fortune. So if you're buying something cheap on eBay and the guy says, "Oh yeah, go ahead and stick it to your exhaust,"
change companies.
I would run like hell.
Nope.
Yeah, change companies immediately. Yeah. So what Steve was referencing was that, yes, it is like a tape, but it needs to be secured on either end. So if you're using exhaust wrap on the hot pipe, do not use a sticky tape. We do sell a thermoflex tape.
There's
but that's
so
only
many
for
different
radiant.
weird names for it, and I think that's why it confuses people. Because in industrial terms, they use the term tape.
Yeah.
In marine or power gen, sometimes called lagging. You know, so it's just it's all the same thing. It's just it gets confusing to people. So I could understand the confusion.
Sure. I mean, the marine stuff is really interesting. You start looking into that. They wrap it with fiberglass, then they put resin over it,
Yeah,
then they put another thing over
There's
it.
another
It's like
product
so
with
antiquated.
resin and that kind
Almost.
of stuff.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. If
Yeah.
you're listening, marine people, just use the Heatshield armor. You'll be really happy.
Yeah. Or just a regular wrap. A lot of that resin stuff is nonsense.
Yeah. So, all right. And second question here is this one's a tough one because we're talking about clearance and radiant heat. So, I have about a 1/2 inch clearance between my header pipes and oil pan. I'm looking for a heat shield that just to cover a small section of the pipe. And what would you recommend?
Yeah, or people want to put something on the oil pan.
Yeah.
Which is really challenging. So the best thing you can do is just, either wrap or lag or tape the exhaust header with an exhaust wrap or use the armor. A lot of guys don't want to wrap that part. The other thing that gets confusing to people too is anytime you're trapping heat in a section of the pipe, the points right before and after get a little bit hotter, especially after. So just make sure you're going down 2 or 3 inches downstream.
Past where you need to protect.
Exactly.
All right. So wasn't as bad, but 1/2 inch is not desirable.
1/2 inch is not enough clearance for like a heat shield to function properly. The position's in a good spot though because there should be good airflow there.
Yeah.
So the airflow isn't an issue at that point. Depends on if the motor's sitting sideways and that kind of nonsense too. But if it's just a regular traditional rear-wheel drive car, it's just generally it's not enough clearance. You need, if you're going to put the best heat shield is the sticky shield, so that's going to be 1/8 of an inch. So then you leave yourself, 3/8 of an inch of clearance, and for it to achieve 90% reflectivity, it likes 1 inch.
Yeah.
All right. Good enough. Last question here, and this is a common one. I'm going to purchase your heat shield armor, but want to know the thickness. What thickness I should get? I'm putting this directly on my exhaust pipe on a street rod to protect my master cylinder that is under the car next to the exhaust. That's interesting. I was going to go with 1/2 inch thick, but will 1/4 inch work in this application? There's a lot of questions that have to be answered before you can answer that.
The general rule of thumb is 1/4 inch if it's naturally aspirated, to 1/2 inch if it's boosted. Or buy a master cylinder heat shield, which somebody happens to make.
Yeah, we do make that.
Yeah.
Because there's still a lot of the street rods have those frame-mounted master cylinders because of how the pedals are set up and everything else. Because originally a lot of those cars, instead of having an overhead mount, everything comes through the floor, and so it's definitely it's an interesting driving experience. It's cool. It's kind of like you had a Beetle, Chris, and how the pedals are in those.
He had a badge
and that's
bug.
the way the older street rods are still.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now that that I just drove it. I didn't really understand how the hell it worked.
Well,
but I get what you're saying. But yeah, that it is like that where the pedals were attached to the bottom.
And even at some of those like normal, quote unquote normal locations, the street rods are always a big motor in a very tiny engine compartment. Especially if it's a car from the 30s and those master cylinders. I was thinking of John from the clothing guy. His master cylinder's right there. His headers are right there. So
yeah. Well, and typically a lot of those cars had inline engines, and the exhaust was on the opposite side, was running down the opposite side of the car from the master cylinder. So they never had to worry about heat from that.
Yep. Good point. Another good point.
So the takeaway is 1/4 on natural, and if you're boosted, 1/2 inch.
And if you want to go to the extreme, the difference is a little bit, but it's not. It's up to you. What does your budget allow?
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I answer questions, I'm always trying to do it so I can save somebody money. I try not to answer it where it's like the most expensive thing. Oh, yeah, just, I know that doesn't put food on the table here per se, but, tough times. People need to save money.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at my weight problem, I don't have a tough time putting food on the table.
We want to get you
or
what works.
finding food, I guess. So.
Something related to that, I don't know if the customer asked this or not, too, is if he's having heat issues around the master cylinder or whatnot, Did he mention anything too about the brake lines? Don't forget to protect the brake lines with some sleeve material too, because you're going to have part of those lines that are getting heated as well.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a great point. That is a great point. Well, that's all we got right now.
I thought you were going to talk about your favorite candy bar.
Which is what?
I don't know.
I stopped trying to eat candy as much.
Shane's favorite candy bar is any.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, any candy bar? You are a big chocolate guy.
He's got a sweet tooth.
Yeah, he
candy.
does.
I mean,
You know what's crazy?
I don't eat it often, but
Skinniest one out of all of us,
I'll
dude.
get it if I
And he's
can.
got a huge sweet tooth. I'm totally jealous of the guy.
Yeah.
Totally jealous.
Well, that is true because anytime we go somewhere, whether it's like to Vegas for SEMA or camping, or if we have to go out like to measure something,
candy bars.
he's always like, "Can we stop?" And I go, "What do you gotta go to the bathroom again?" He goes, "Nah, I need a Coke and a candy bar."
Yeah, it's just a Coke and a candy bar. That's it.
Somebody's GoPro shut off.
I just shut up.
But he's the skinniest one out of all of us, so we're totally jealous.
And normally you're like you do a Twix, right?
No,
No?
no, I like Fast Break.
Yeah, Reese's
Fast Break.
That's
Fast
it,
Break,
yeah.
And peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
And a Coke.
those
Regular Coke.
I don't eat that stuff with a Coke. That's too much sugar.
That's not true.
That's too much sugar.
That's not true.
Well,
though.
not back to. Well, he'll have a Coke and then have the candy
Maybe,
bar
yeah,
later
later,
or whatever.
And peanut M&Ms.
No, I like regular M&Ms.
Regular.
But yeah, I do like M&Ms.
You're out of
Hey,
control.
the peanut butter M&Ms are the best.
Oh yeah, I was gonna try those. I
Chris
haven't
likes
yet.
a whatchamacallit. That's what he
Those aren't
runs.
bad.
Those are great.
Ooh,
Yeah,
those
those
are
are great.
good.
I'm trying to avoid as much sugar as possible right now, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
The white chocolate Kit Kats are
Baby
very
Ruth.
tasty.
Oh, yeah.
Need
Halloween's
to get some
coming.
candy bars now.
Halloween's
bars.
candy.
Yeah, Halloween's candy. So,
Oh, yeah.
so what you do is you buy a bunch of candy because the kids won't be allowed to go trick or treat. So then you get whatever you want.
I
That's
try
true.
not to eat any candy around Halloween because I know I can't stop. So I just tell myself don't
Good
eat any.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good idea. That's
'Cause
just
it's
like
just
because
too-
once you crack the break
Yeah.
it's like a can of Pringles,
Yeah,
right?
So October I
gone.
don't eat candy.
Well,
You know?
hey, let's spin this into what we were talking about earlier. Maybe just real quick, wrapping up is what's your favorite bit of refreshment either while you're during working on your vehicle or after you finished a job? Besides, generally speaking, a cold beer. We'll set aside a nice
well,
cold beer.
I'm done.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm out of
Yeah.
here.
How about an adult beverage?
But like when you're hot, you're sweaty, and you need a bit of refreshment while you're in the middle of a job or at the end, when you just need that bit of recharge. What's your favorite go-to besides, like a cold bottle of water?
Water out of my lead-lined hose.
Yeah, dude, I'll drink.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally drink hose water. I don't care.
Well, we all drank hose
I did
water in the
last
old
week.
Yeah.
days.
That's it.
Yeah.
Shit, I
Yeah.
used to
Yeah.
drink out of this
Yeah, and look
like
at me, nothing's wrong.
somebody's
Yeah.
sprinkler back
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My go-to, I guess, would be like a Powerade or something like that if it's super hot outside.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I like a light beer, like a double IPA, like a Mike Hess Habitus. That's a great thing to have when you're working out in the sun.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, the
light
light-
beer.
Have some Coors Light. Yeah, it's mostly water.
Dude, an ice
Mostly
cold
cow piss.
look, an ice cold Budweiser is terrific when you're outside working in the sun.
Yeah, to cool
And
you
that's
off.
not like drinking a heavy I
Yeah.
kind of tease everybody about like,
You're a light beer
light
drinker.
yeah, you're a light beer drinker because if
It's only 6%.
yeah, if it's below 8%, it's a light beer. That's just how I feel. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
Right.
But an ice cold Budweiser when you're out working in the yard and it's hot and sweaty, dude, that's great. Like, it's good.
Yeah.
It can be had.
Well, I gotta say that you have changed my outlook on beer, and my palate has changed a little bit as well. And some of the things you put me into, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then you know what? I enjoy them. I just my new favorite is that High Tide.
Yeah,
That's a great.
Chris
I
gets a
love
buzz off one beer.
I do. I'm a cheap date,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the only time I'm either drinking beer is when we're playing Fallout or if I'm at your house. But but at the end of the day, if it was me and I working on the car, I just treat myself to a beer afterwards. And I guess I would just drink water. I know you said not say that, but it's kind of hard because that's like just drink a gallon of water, leave a gallon of water out there, and just keep drinking it.
It's a hangover cure. Water, equal alcohol.
I would say you'd say Gatorade, but I think you've come off of that now, right? No more Gatorade.
Yeah, Gatorade causes kidney stones.
Yeah, I was gonna say after you had to pee
when you drink 3 a day.
You had to pee the brick out.
Yeah.
No more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shane's experienced that more than
there's
once.
times like when it's really hot, like a nice ice cold lemonade is good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be good.
I thought you were gonna say sweet tea.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick, are you a sweet tea drinker?
All being Southern, I'm not a sweet tea fan.
Okay.
I just have never really been into drinking sweet tea.
Yeah, I like regular iced tea, dude. Nothing was more disappointing when I was in North Carolina, like my first trip soloed, like down south. And I'm like, oh, yeah. My buddy's like, hey, you want a tea? I'm like, oh, dude, that'd be so great, right? Because it's hot, humid. And I think we were actually –
it's all sugar.
I knew it was going to be a big day because we were on our way to a race at North Wilkesboro. And that's where they back when NASCAR was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they throw, like, chicken bones and stuff on the racetrack. And they used to worship.
Wow.
They would, like, kind of like the bow to Dale and stuff when you go around the track. It was fun.
That's
just
cool.
a good time. Great experience. And he's like, yeah, get it. I'm like, oh, great. So I was dying. So I just grab it. I take a big old swig, and I just about threw up because I wasn't ready for the sugar. You know what I mean? Like I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they only have 2 flavors: sugar and more sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a little bit of a challenge. But
right.
yeah, it's hard to find unleaded iced tea down south. Mm-hmm. It is. So.
Unless you brew it yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you split the differences. You go with the shandy sometimes, which is the beer lemonade mixture.
Beer lemonade?
Yeah, it's a shandy. It's been around for a long time.
Is that a brand or is that what it's called?
It's called typically when you have a beer that is part beer, part like lemonade similar. It's called a shandy, and it actually comes from Europe.
Not an Arnold Palmer.
No, that's lemonade and iced tea mixed together.
Yeah, which is like having a sweet.
But
tea.
Right.
Because there's like the one brewery here in town. They have a good one. It is a key lime shandy. And it's actually for a really hot day when you don't want to be drinking something heavy, but you want a little oomph to it. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
That's cool.
Yeah, that sounds like something would be worth trying. I mean, I would try it once. Why not?
Sure.
Right?
We have those out here. They're called Truly and White Claw.
No. No, the big thing here has been high noon lately. Oh God.
Yeah, that's.
No, I'll get you guys. I'll see if I can get you guys a 4-pack or something and get it out to you somehow so you can try.
Huh.
We'll have a taste
Are you a big rum guy, Patrick?
Oh no, I like rum.
Okay.
Like my trip to England 2 years ago, I brought back a big bottle of Lamb's Navy rum, and it's this molasses rum that's brewed to the same recipe that the original Royal Navy rum ration was made to.
I love that. They used to have to get back in the day. They had to get everybody fueled up to go out to sea to get on a boat.
Yeah.
Well, it's like here in town, we've got a couple of rum distillers you can go visit here in town.
Oh wow,
that's cool.
That's neat.
That's good. Well, it's gonna be necessary, man. We got to quit importing all this stuff and do more of it here.
Sure, it's true. All right. Well, the GoPros look like they're failing, so we'll call it a day. Thanks for coming on, Patrick. I appreciate it.
24 episode 24. Wrap it up.
Yeah, and if you're listening and have any questions, hit us up at podcast@Heatshield Products or tech@Heatshield Products, and we'll make sure we answer that for you. And who knows, maybe the question will get up here on the air. And again, thanks.
You'll get a sticker.
Yeah, we'll send some stickers to you.
And thanks again.
That's what you got to do is give you like the best question gets a sticker pack or a shirt or something.
Yeah, a lot of people do the questions. Maybe we'll have to put that up on social media.
Or do a quiz. Like if you listen to the podcast, you can answer the question. Yeah, there you go.
Listen for this word.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, well, signing off again. Thank you, Cable Guy. Thank you for listening and watching, and have a great day.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
From everyone at Heatshield Products, we thank you for listening to Hot Laps. Leave that review, subscribe, tell a friend, and most of all, stay cool. We'll see you next time, right here on Hot Laps.